Recording. Okay. For the purpose of recording, I'll repeat that. So notice every time I open Photoshop, I always open a new blank page. I don't ever open the image directly in Photoshop. All right. So for example, in Photoshop, you could go to File. I could have gone to File. And are you seeing File, by the way, or is it off the screen?
Off the screen.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. You're seeing it on the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right. So notice I could have gone to File and go to Open, and I could have just opened my image right off the bat. So I'll go here, and oh, this is quite big. Go to details. Here it is, Scan Sketch. I could have opened it directly in Photoshop, and it would have opened like that. However, this is the incorrect thing to do, right? Right? So when you're about to do something in Photoshop, always open the page that you intend to work on first. Always open that page first, blank, and then you place whatever you want on the page. Everybody got that? That's super important, okay? All right, so we're gonna open Photoshop with a blank page. We're gonna leave it vertical for now, portrait. And now we're gonna place the image on the page. Now remember we did that last week. For some of us, we went to File and we went to, what was it? It was Place Embedded, sorry. And for others of us, what we did was just to drag it directly onto our page. So see me just dragging it there, and voila. And then I choose OK. So whichever one, but you need to get it on the screen. Now, if you're using the same computer you used last week, you should still have our miniature, our very clean interface. Remember, we closed most of the panels and we pretty much just use the layers, the history, properties, and adjustments, right? So when you go to layers, I hope you remember that this layer is a smart layer. We see that little icon there. Anybody can tell me what is a smart layer? For 500 virtual dollars, what is a smart layer?
The layer that you can size the image or but it doesn't change the resolution or something like that.
Yeah, okay, I give you 70% for that answer.
Okay.
And you also can't erase the image in this.
All right, so if I added both of your answers together, you would get 10% more. So yes, you can erase it, but remember it is because it is locked. So it's not only that you can't erase it, you also can't draw on it. You pretty much can't do anything to mess with the pixels, right? Erasing is just one of the things you can do to mess with the pixels. One second. What is it? Okay. He needs a headphones. Hold on. Come on. I'm about to lend him my brand new headphone. If he destroys it, I will have to exact my revenge. Yeah. Okay. All right. So continuing. So we place our image on screen, and if you remember the controls in Photoshop, we can zoom in. So if we can zoom all the way in, it should pretty much look like the sketch, and if we zoom fully in, we can see those pixels. How does Photoshop do this when it zooms? It does this weird thing. All right, we can pretty much see the pixels. So we know that everything is eventually is broken down into these pixels and stuff. Now, if you zoom in close like me, then you perhaps also recognize that we got some stuff showing on the back. So it's you know, you find a piece of paper and you draw, but then the print on the opposite side showed up in the background. That's one of the reasons why I chose this image, you know, because other than that, I mean, this exercise would just be way too easy. And I know you guys wouldn't want that, right? So we have that thing in the background to worry about. I don't know if any one of us have ever scanned an image only to find out that it actually scanned what is in the background. So we're going to use Photoshop to remove that as well. What other problems do we recognize with this? Well, one major problem is, why am I telling you? You guys tell me, what are some of the unacceptable things with this sketch? Why you wouldn't want to put it on your final studio sheet? So the scan in the background, I gave away that one. What else? Nobody? What else is wrong with it? Or could be better?
The writing is kind of illegible. Like you cannot read it properly.
Well, that's a good one, but unfortunately we can't do nothing about that. That's up to the person who wrote it. What else?
And there's like no contrast to what the different what's being shown in the drawing.
Yeah, okay, lack of contrast. That's a good one. Anybody else? I'm waiting for a really obvious one. That one is valued the most points because it's the most obvious. What's one of the major things that's wrong with this sketch?
Sir, the drawing isn't straight.
Ah,
It's not straight.
I think who got that? Was it Lorenzo or Matthew?
Both of us.
Both of you. All right. So it's a draw then. Nobody gets prize. That is correct. It's actually lean, and it might be lean for multiple reasons. It might be when you were drawing it, it was lean, or when your paper was scanned, it could have been lean. I think it's like a combination of both. So alignment is one of the things that we're going to have to do with this. As a matter of fact, we might want to call it enhancing the truth. You know, because you might draw it lean, but then, you know, we're going to fix it up in Photoshop. So just like how we can smooth up the skin of a female and, you know, change the skin tone and put on, and I call this makeup virtually, we can also do the same thing to drawings as well. So in an essence, we're going to put on some architectural makeup on this section sketch and let it look beautiful. Okay, so let's get going. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to deal with the size. Now the drawing that we have is primarily portrait, and we would like to make it portrait on the sheet. As you know, the scan is landscape. So the first thing we're going to do is extract the sketch from this. So we need to basically delete all this white space. If I turn off my background, that is what the drawing is, right? It's pretty much the drawing, and then you have the rest of the sheet, which is blank. So we need, so you see this white area that you're seeing here, it's actually white pixels that you're seeing, right? So we need to delete all of the excessive white pixels, right? Now we could use the eraser tool to get rid of it, right? But I'm going to suggest a much cleaner way, because the eraser tool we would use when we want to get more precise control over what we erase. In this case, we just want to like yank off a whole section of the drawing. You know, it's not like we were it's not like when we were doing the sky and we wanted to like get only particular areas. Let's go over here. So pretty much we would want to like cut it like that, and we'd want to get rid of all of these pixels here, leaving just that section, right? So to do that, we are going to go for this tool here. We're going to go for that tool, right? Which is another type of marquee tool there. What's that? So, and oops, and what we're going to do is we're going to just draw a box. Oops, I moved it back. So click on that tool. I'm just going to draw a box here. This, so you see this marching ants. This is called marching ants, by the way, for obvious reasons, right? So that's how Photoshop does the selection, by showing you marching ants. So we're going to highlight this blank area here. We're just going to hit delete. But wait, we can't delete it. Why?
It's a smart image.
Exacto mundo. It is a smart image. So we're going to right click the name, and then we're going to go to rasterize layer. And now we can just yank off all of that side. So what I do is just highlight and press delete. I'm going to highlight down here, hit delete, and maybe even get.
So which tool are they use?
I have used this tool here. Ooh, getting feedback. All right. That tool right there.
Okay.
I wish I could pan when I zoom in. I can't pan. Anyway. All right. So we should have everything left but this. So this is our first step. And then we're going to go to our move tool, which is the one right next to it. We're going to go to our move tool and make sure that you deselect first, you know, so you don't have anything selected. So our move tool, and then we're going to make it bigger. Ensure that you don't skew the image, right? This is like the rule of digital design. Never skew an image. It's completely illegal. So then we should end up with something like this, okay?
Sir, why is deselect? Just press deselect.
The shortcut is Control D or
Control D.
Control D as in dog.
Morning, sir. You can go over the first part.
What, the deleting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. I will go over it just because you have that lovely video screen. All right, so the first thing that we did was we deleted most of the sections of the drawing. Remember, our objective is that we want to get rid of all of these points here and just leave the section with the drawing here. So in order to do that, we used this tool over here. Is that tool, right? Which is a lasso tool, but it's a rectangular lasso. Last week we used the other custom lasso tool. So we use that tool over there, and we want to select pretty much all of this white space here and hit delete, and select this white space below, hit delete, and maybe you could trim a little on the top and then you're going to deselect. Once you do that, you're going to use the next tool beside it, which is that tool, and you're going to you should now be able to enlarge come on, the selection. All right, so see, I left a little strip of white actually here that I didn't delete. So let me just get my lasso tool and just knock that off. All right, so pretty much when you're done cutting, this is all you should be left with, and you should see the little dots around what is left. If you're seeing the dots extend all the way to the right, that means you've left a little bit of white somewhere on the outer rim. So I'm going to make this larger. Make sure you don't skew it. That's very important. I'm going to mark it down if you skew it. That's correct. So nobody should have an image that is squashed. Okay, good. Everybody should be here or close to here. We're going to move forward again.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Sir, I never hear nothing what you say while the laptop locked me out, so I have to hurry up and log up on my phone.
Oh,
and now
Lord.
it don't want to log back on the laptop.
Oh, Lord. All right. But remember our deal, right? I'm repeating twice and then move on and we catch it in the recording. Because remember, we have a full busload of other classmates that we need to move forward with. But in a nutshell, you're going to use, you are going to use the marquee tool and cut these sections of the drawing. So this was the first section that was cut.
Oh, so you pass there, so okay.
So I highlight over this, cut it off. Highlight down the bottom here, cut off that white section, and I did a little bit on the top, cut off that section, right? So when you're done, you should just be left with that, and I made it larger and ensured not to skew it.
Sir, how you unlock the layer again?
You rasterize it. All right, so.
Sir, I'm not.
Yeah, sir. Sir.
Who rasterize this? So I remember I was having problem rasterizing last time.
Remember, you have to right click on the name itself. Right click on the name of the layer.
That's what I'm doing.
And you're not getting the rasterize option. If it's grayed out, that means it's already rasterized.
Sir, what do I do if the history tab, like the options underneath the history window are not selecting.
Not selecting would mean that, okay, what's happening? Right, not selecting, so you go to the history tab, and what, these are not selecting? You need to just move upwards to go back in time. See?
Yes, sir, those are not selecting.
Like it's grayed out, or it's empty.
Sir, I just opened the document. So the options that I have, the actions that I made so far, I want to undo one of them, but it's not giving me that option.
It's not giving you that option. I'm not sure. All right, use Control Z. Use Control Z and see if it works.
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah.
Which one are you first? So I was in another class instead of this class. I was wondering if I could join your other section later.
Yeah, man. You can take any train you wish, or any bus rather. Okay. All right, so we're gonna push forward nonetheless. Now, there's a feature in Photoshop that I want to show you guys, which will become very useful, especially for you architecture students, and that is the ruler tool. Now, the ruler tool might be turned on for some of us, but for some of us not. So to access it, you go to View, and you go to Rulers, and you want to make sure that that is checked right there, right? So when you turn on the ruler tool, you will notice that there are rulers on this edge and on that edge, right? You are gonna use these rulers to help you align the drawing. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to select this area. We're gonna select within the ruler, click, hold, and drag all the way to the right. Now, when you do that, you will get a blue line like that, pop out. There you go. Then I want you to do the same for the top. Select inside the ruler area and drag out like that. You get a line up there. Drag out the next one, you get one there. All right. Now these lines, they will not print or save if you save it as a PDF or save a JPEG. These are just guidelines that you can use and you can move them anytime. Both Photoshop and Illustrator have guides. Now, once you do that, you're gonna now use our skew tool. Remember we used that last week with the car. So I don't know if you remember where it is. You go up to Edit. Then you're gonna go down to Transform, and then you're gonna go down to Skew. Like that. Once you enable that, now you're able to skew the image.
Oh, that's skew.
Go again.
Oh, it's skew. Just go to what?
You're gonna go to Edit right here, and you're gonna go down to Transform and to Skew. Perhaps before I do that, I'm going to put another ruler down at the floor. And this is going to help me to skew this drawing and align it properly, right? So I'm going to now go to Skew. And I'm going to just drag the edge of the image and kind of just align it the best I can.
Sir, did you convert it back to a smart object after you?
No, I didn't. Because we're going to be messing with these pixels next, so we don't need it to be a smart object right now.
But doesn't it lose quality as it's rasterized when you're like pushing and moving the pixels?
That is a very good observation. You are right. It's not necessarily losing, but it's being changed. Losing would be like you manipulate the pixels in a way that pushes some of the pixels out of existence. Then you will be like straight up losing. But what we're doing now is kind of changing. So even if you're losing pixels by doing this, you're probably losing like 0.01%. But if you did something like scale it down, then that would be like major loss of pixels, right? So the thing is that we can use the skew tool as a smart object. However, we are going to want to go in and enhance these lines. And in order to do that, it needs to be rasterized. So that's why we're not rasterizing it. And in some cases, that's why you probably might not want to work with a smart object. There are some cases where you want to work with it, and some where you're going to do so much manipulation to the image that it don't make sense to keep it as a smart object. All right. There's lots more to using smart objects, but we only have 2 classes on Photoshop, and then we're moving on to Illustrator, and then we're moving on to SketchUp. So, you know, the rest of the knowledge will have to come out of trial and error. And of course, there's always UTU, YouTube University. All right.
So this
so
is the last Photoshop class?
Say again? Yeah, this is
This
the last.
is the last.
Right. You're going to use it again for your assignment, but I won't be teaching you new stuff. You know what you already know what you need to do it. All right, we're going to hit the OK button at the top. That will confirm our movement. And now everything is a bit more ordered. Now you can delete the guides by clicking on it and moving it back into the ruler section. That is one way you can get rid of it. Or if you don't want to move your guides, but you just want to turn them off, you just go to view and where's guides? You have clear guides. You don't have hide guides. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Oh, in Illustrator, you can hide the guides, but I guess here you can only just clear them. Anyway, I'll just clear them. Doesn't matter. Because we don't need the guides anymore because it's pretty straight. If I go back to my layers tab.
How you delete again?
Sorry, you should try pressing Control R. That should hide them.
No, but that would hide the rulers. Oh, it will hide the guides and the rulers.
It should.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that. You hear that, guys?
Sir?
Yeah.
How you delete?
The guides? I went
to the part that,
How you delete what?
The space around the image.
The image? I use the rectangular marquee tool. Oops. And right, I use the rectangular marquee tool, which is this, and I selected the blank area on the sketch and deleted it.
Yeah, but how you delete it?
Just press delete. After you select it, just press delete.
Okay.
Excuse me,
All
sir.
right. Okay, so everybody should have their drawing pretty much straight like this now. So we're getting somewhere. Now, what we want to do is to enhance the line work a bit. Now, we don't want to totally redo this because, you know, the natural flow of the pencil work is what kind of gives this sketch a character. So it's not like we're trying to turn it into a, you know, an AutoCAD drawing or something like that. if anything, we want to enhance the natural line work that is there. So what I want us to do is we're going to use a filter. So last week we used a filter to do motion blur. We're going to choose another filter today. So to do that, we're going to go head up to filters, and we're going to go to sketch category, and then we're going to go to photocopy, which is actually, it's on my other screen, so you're not seeing it here, but it's actually there. All right, let me zoom out. There we go. Sketch and photocopy. And once you do that, this window will pop up.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to stop you, sir, but like you could show me how to like straighten the line, because I had a little problem, but I just got it sorted out. I don't know how to straighten the drawing, to be honest.
You use the skew tool. You go to edit,
Yeah.
transform, and skew.
All right.
Alrighty. Now, once you go to so again, guys, we're gonna add a filter to this now. So we
you're going to filter?
Yes. So we go up to filters, and the filter that we're going to use is sketch. It's under the sketch category, and we're going to use a photocopy filter.
Sir, I'm not seeing sketch.
Neither me.
Oh, you're not seeing it. I know why. Because Photoshop is being silly, and they have started to hide the sketch filter. I'm not sure why. So you guys need to enable it. So if you're using like the newer version of Photoshop, the sketch filter is turned off. Now to turn on hidden filters, don't ask me why Adobe would choose to hide it. You're gonna go up to edit, and then you're gonna go to preferences. It's down here. And then you're gonna go to plugins. That's right. So you go to edit, preferences, plugins. When you hit that, a window should pop up like this. And then you're going to hit this option here that says show all filter gallery groups and names. So again, you go to edit, preferences, and plugins. Now, once you do this, it will always be enabled, but it is disabled by default.
All right, sir, got it.
All right. So once you do that, then you will now get your sketch sketch category, and then you're gonna choose photocopy. Now, once you do that, you're gonna get this window that pops up, and it's gonna give you a preview. You might not be able to see the full preview. You can use these little plus and minus buttons down here to zoom in and out, all right? So, should be, there we go. There we go. So I'll zoom in like this. So notice that the filter looks, it does, what it does, it turns, as the name suggests, is photocopy. So this is the filter you're actually applying right here, right? And there's a representation of that filter here. So filters are like effects that you can add to pixels in Photoshop. So this filter is called photocopy, and it does what it says. It kind of turns, it uses a algorithm similar to how the copiers, when you photocopy a page, it uses that to manipulate the pixels. And what you do is you, so here, if I turn it off, that's what the original looks like. That's it with the filter. All right, let me zoom in a little more so you can see it. So without the filter, with the filter. Then now you can further make adjustments to this by using these controls here, right? And with those controls, you can kind of adjust how you want the filter to behave. So let's look at that. So I'm going to adjust this detail level, and the higher you put it is the more detail it pull out. Notice it's starting to pull out the detail of the, you know, what was on the other side of the page, right? And you kind of want that, but you kind of don't at the same time. So, you know, just kind of balance it a bit. Then the darkness, you can manipulate that a bit. So this is going to be totally up to you how you want to manipulate this. The more you increase the darkness is the more those line work become more visible, but then it also brings up the what's in the background. Everybody seen that? Right? So what I want you guys to do, you're going to choose your own destiny. I want you to use your own values. Your objective is that you want the line work to pop, but you don't want to give yourself too much work. So, I mean, if you max this out, the line work will pop, but then you're going to have to clean up all of this jazz, right? And we don't want to have to clean up so much. So you want to just balance that darkness. The darkness comes to a point where it starts to, it doesn't make the lines any brighter, but what it does is make the background brighter. So you don't want to make the background brighter, but the objective is to make the sketch lines brighter. So you get it to the brightest that it can become, and then you probably want to end it about there and choose OK. Now, once you choose OK here, those changes are baked in, meaning that you can't go back to the filter and change it again. Cool? You can't say, oh, I made it too dark and go back to make it lighter. No, you basically have to add another filter on top of that and filter the filter, if you know what I mean. And
But sir, if you're using a smart object, you could always go back and edit it.
True, you can. However, we need to clean up this drawing, and we're going to clean it up using a number of tools like eraser tool and the marquee tool and stuff like that. So if it were a smart object, we'd still have to rasterize it again to clean it up. You follow me?
Oh, yes, sir. I do.
Right. So in this case, you wouldn't want to turn it back into a smart object. But if you didn't have to do this cleanup work where you're manipulating the pixels more, then I would suggest that, yes, you use it as a smart object so you could go back and edit that filter anytime. Now, this part here is best done. This is where the main work is, right? And we're going to clean this up now by erasing most of this stuff here. Now,
Sir, one quick question. When I'm in the photocopy thing and I click on photocopy, my image doesn't change. What's the reason for that? It just stays normal.
If your image doesn't change, then you should check your colors here. It should be black and white.
Okay, I'll check that.
Mm-hmm. And of course, make sure you should only have one layer, so you should be okay.
And sir, which of the filters are we supposed to use when photocopying?
You're using the filter is called photocopy.
I mean, under the sketch category. Sorry.
You're right. So you go to sketch and then you choose the photocopy filter under sketch. So when you go under sketch, you should see one called photocopy.
Oh God.
All right. So now to clean this up. Now, cleanups are something very typical that you will do in Photoshop. Now, there's a couple of approaches to doing cleanups. And I'm going to show you some of these approaches. Now, we're going to use the eraser tool. and we're going to make some manipulations to the eraser tool, right? So I'm going to use the eraser tool there.
I'm seeing this when I go to photocopy.
Say again?
I'm seeing this on the screen when I go to photocopy.
Right, that's what you should see. So when you go to photocopy, here, sketch and photocopy, you will see that come up. And what this is showing you is a preview of what it will look like when you apply the photocopy filter on your left. That's a preview. This looks weird because I'm applying a photocopy to a photocopy. But anyway, so basically all you're doing is you're adjusting these slider bars here. You're just adjusting those slider bars, and when it gets to a look that you are pleased with, you're going to hit the OK button there, and that's it.
Okay.
All right. All right, so let's talk about cleanup. Now you're going to hit the eraser tool. And remember last week when we used the eraser tool, we made it blurry because we wanted to kind of erase the sky and kind of make it soft. This time we're going to do the opposite. So we are going to go to the, you're going to have to give me a sec. There's a delivery guy at the door. All right, 1 sec. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the brush options right here. And we're going to mess with that option a bit. We're going to click it to open up the brush options. And this time, we're going to make the hardness 100% because we don't want it to be soft. And we are going to, well, we can always adjust the size on screen. So we're not going to worry about the size. So we're just going to click off of it. Now, here is the approach. Whenever you're doing cleanup, right, which you're going to have to do cleanup, you can't escape it, whether you're cutting out somebody or you're cutting out a drawing. A good approach is the areas, where's my pen? It's here. The areas that are close to the lines, so like those areas here, there, any areas that is close to your objects that you want to keep, you're going to go in with your hard eraser tool and get rid of those. Don't worry about all of these other areas around here, not yet. That is the easy part of it. What you want to worry about are these areas here, right? You want to get rid of those areas. So I'm going to use the eraser tool now. And I'm going to just go in and erase all of these areas close to the lines here. Right? Don't worry about these other areas here. So I'm going to pan. Remember to pan, you hold the space bar and left click. Hold space bar and left click. I'm going to go in here and kind of clean up here. So what you're doing now is the fine-tune cleanup. Remember, you can adjust your brush size by doing a left and right square bracket, right? So I can make this smaller. Now, you don't, as I said, the brush tool, you're not going to use it to do these far out things. You're just using it to ease up those small areas that are on the drawing, just the areas close to what you want to keep. So do I want to keep this line in the background? No, I don't. So I want to erase that there. And I want to get rid of here. Don't worry about the center part. Notice I'm only dealing with the areas that are close to what I want to keep. Right? I'm clearing up those areas primarily. Now, if any of you have a touchscreen device and you have a pen, I do have my other camera here. Let me show you. Then you guys have an advantage with the pen, right? If you do happen to have a touchscreen device. Now, laptop and document cam. Where's document cam? There we go. So if I do that, all right. So if you guys have a pen and any touchscreen device, then it becomes much easier for you to just use the pen and using the natural motions of your hand to just clean up those areas. Smaller. And you actually can clean this up in like half the time because it's so much easier to use the pen, oops, to get into those areas. Oh, yeah. Oh, 1 second. Oh, is that all right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Oh. So you guys, all right, take care. Okay, guys, I am back. Sorry about that. I had a delivery here. So what I was saying is that if you have the pen tool, it's very easy for you to just go in and clean this up. But don't spend your time trying to erase the middle section. I'm going to show you quicker ways to get rid of that. You just need to get rid of close to these corners. Now these areas in here, I wouldn't worry about too much in that mad looking area, that's fine. You actually want to keep that madness because that is the flavor of your sketch, you know? Get rid of that, get rid of that. All right, so can we see who first can finish cleanup? As usual, I don't have any money to give out, but I can always tell you that you will, if I had money, I would give you as a prize. So
Yeah, things are going out, you know, sir.
Say again?
Sir.
Yeah, things are going out.
Hold on, I gave you guys $700 in the lecture, right?
Sir, stop it.
Yeah, to build me a laptop, remember?
$700 to do things, sir. It's like I
The window shop, I gave you window shopping money. So you're supposed to.
A laptop.
Sir, Dalios money I give you.
$700 and you already claim to it. You tell me exactly what you want.
Okay. All right. All right, so I think I've gotten all of the little areas. Oh, there's a little piece in here.
Sir, how you get the line so sharp?
Sharp. When you say sharp, what you're talking about, the sketch lines?
Yes, sir.
Remember that we added the filter, you know?
Brightness.
So
Sir,
when you
this
add,
is how mine look before I clean it. Mine look nothing like that.
it should kind of look like it. Cause remember all we did was apply a sketch filter and then we manipulated the values on the sketch filter. Remember that? So I adjusted the two slider bars between, I think it was what, the darkness and the detail. So it's not just click the sketch filter and click OK, you know. When we went into the sketch filter options, we adjusted the slider bars. Anyway, so I want to clean up here. So who is finished already with the first wave of cleanup? Remember, this first wave of cleanup, you're just getting the areas close to what you want to keep. The big blocky areas, we don't have to erase that with the eraser tool. That's going to take much longer. Remember, you want to keep all your dimension lines, right? Clean that up. Why are you not erasing anymore? What? Okay. Did I do something wrong?
Sir.
I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes to finish this. Photoshop is being very troublesome right now. What's the matter? Problems?
Yes, sir. When I go to click the background to show it, it goes over the sketch, this image sketch, and I don't know how to undo
Now,
that.
when you choose the background, oh, so the layer, so you need to make sure the sketch layer is on top. Remember, but guess what? My Photoshop has seemed to freeze. What in the world? Wow.
Sir, my sketch layer is on top of the background one, but it don't show.
Okay, what, so your sketch layer is not showing?
Yes, sir. When I select the when I click to show the background one.
Even though your sketch layer is on top?
Yes, sir.
Sounds like you have Duppy. In Photoshop. The Photoshop Duppy, you never hear of him yet? Let's see. If the layer is showing, you shouldn't have a problem. Okay, do you have above where you see where you have transforms? I can't even show you because my Photoshop freeze. I'm gonna have to force kill it. But right here, does that say normal for you? In the sketch panel. That's right here, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. But I can't believe this. Okay, let me just try and get back my Photoshop here. Let me just close it. It has just totally stopped responding. So I'm going to have to whip out Task Manager and kill it. Wow. Speaking of programs crashing, what do you think happens when Photoshop crashes? Do you get back your work? The answer to that is
There should be an autosave, correct?
there is an autosave function in Photoshop. And out of all the Adobe products, the Photoshop autosave, that's the way how Photoshop saves their autosaves. It is the best out of all of them. Illustrator is the worst. The more you use Illustrator, the more you will scream at the computer. Photoshop isn't bad. If you can see, I basically got back everything. See that? And notice it up the top, it says recovered. So all I did is open back Photoshop and it found it back. Now, if you close this and don't save it, then is when your goose is cooked. All right? So you need to like save this immediately. So that would be a good hint to you guys to just save your work right now. You never know what will happen. So let's call this exercise 2. All right, good to go. Now back to the mysterious layering. You're saying that when you turn off your sketch layer, it doesn't turn off like that?
Yes, sir. I fix it now. The sketch one wasn't on normal and I didn't notice.
Yeah.
So there's no Duppy.
There's no Duppy. Good. By the way, good point you said that, you know. I'm guessing you guys have heard of the Gigo concept, right? Anybody have heard that term before?
No, sir.
You ever heard the Gigo concept?
No.
Okay, actually you have. What this says is garbage in, garbage out. You know, that's the rule that computers operate by, right? So if you click something, then you will get the result of that. The main challenge is that we never know when we click something. So in that case, it was because why you wasn't seeing it come up is because we changed the transfer mode. And we're not in the transfer modes here. We don't have any space for it. I touch it again in like probably 4th year. That's probably too late. But you'll discover it on your own, what it does. And if we have any time for any bonus classes, I'll show you some awesome bonus tips with Photoshop. But you want to make sure this is normal. All right. Oops, where you gone, mouse? You want to make sure that this is set to normal at all times for all layers. For now. Okay. I guess you guys, I'm hoping that I'm selling to you guys the purpose of a pen, right? And how important it is, especially now when everything is on the computer. If ever you if you happen to be in the position where you're getting a device, it is just ridiculous for you to not get a device that has touch and supports a pen, right? You guys are artists. You need to do sketching, conceptualizing. even for lectures, it would be very difficult for me to not be able to draw quick diagrams and show you how things work. So I am selling that to you. Okay. All right, let's deal with the other part of the cleanup now, right? Because we're like at 50% and we need to like hurry up and finish. Oh, I did lose some work actually, because I did clean up here already. So I'm gonna just do that again. All right, so after we get rid of all of the finer details, our next step is to get rid of the more broader areas, right? And to do that, you could use a bigger eraser, but I'm going to recommend that you use the polygonal lasso tool. So let me show you what I mean. So notice when you look at my drawing, all of the pixels that I want to get rid of close to the drawing are gone. Well, almost all of it. I need to get rid of this area here, right? So your drawing should kind of look like something like that, where you have this, this white space between the pixels that you want to keep, right? Let's get rid of that real quick. And what you're going to do now, I'm going to show you the example on this side. What you're going to do now is go to your polygonal lasso tool. Remember, we used that last week. And we're going to use the polygonal lasso tool, and we're just going to click in this white space here, and oops, I'm going to go here, go around, and delete. I'm going to do the same for the top. So where I had deleted around this area here, I'm just going to go in and I'm just doing it piece by piece. And delete. All right, so you can see everything is starting to clean up now. So in here, you hopefully when you are done in here, you would have done all your edges, all of your edges. You get that. So you want to use your eraser tool to do all of your edges. You go in the areas like this, you make the brush a little smaller, you go in and do your erasing like that. But you only need to get the areas that are close to the edge, right? So you should have something roughly like that. Hold on, let's get rid of this as well. There. You don't want it to be perfect because it's a sketch after all. It's not perfect. And then I'm gonna erase. I'm gonna just use the polygonal lasso tool and select everything inside this space. Like that, and I'm going to hit delete. So that's now nice and clean, right? So I'm going to just clean this up real quick, and I'm going to give you guys like 10 minutes. No, 10 minutes is too long. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to finish up. Is that too short? That was a much of an extreme jump. 10 minutes to 30 seconds. If ever you're stressed, there's nothing like de-stressing by doing a drawing cleanup, because you have to have patience to like go in and clean up these areas. So it helps to relieve stress. At the same time, you're getting work complete. I don't know if that is the same for everybody. All right. All right, good. Let me go for my lasso tool. Polygonal lasso tool, rather. Remember, you double click to close the lasso tool. So you want to get rid of all of these little spots that you see here. Oh, what Photoshop? Not again. Yep, I think you have frozen again. I think it's because I'm like hearing is like it just can't. I think I need to disable. There's a feature in here I can disable. I think I'm gonna have to do that. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing this because it keeps freezing on me because I'm doing the screen recording. Performance. And I'm gonna disable that feature. And I'm gonna save. Hopefully I won't lose anything. Okay. And I'm gonna have to open it back. All right, guys. I'm gonna make a cup of tea while you finish cleaning up your drawings, right? And then we have part 2, which we can finish. What time this class finish again? At 12? I think we might be done before time. I think we can. Anybody completed yet? Clean up? Anybody? If
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Person. Oh, lovely. All right. I see that you read.
Sir, so my phone just log off. My laptop just log off Zoom again.
Yeah, your internet is fluctuating, that's all. Those issues are to be expected. Okay, for those of you who have finished, our next step is what we will call enhancing the truth. So we're going to enhance the truth a little bit. And the truth is that some of these lines leave a lot to be desired of, right? They look very splotchy. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new layer. But in the layers tab down the bottom here, that's here. We're going to create a new, oops, that's I've led you in the wrong direction. Hang on. This button here, to create new layer, you're going to select that button. And you're going to name this layer by double clicking on the layer name, and I'm going to call this enhance lines. So we're going to have an enhanced lines layer. And what we're going to do on that layer is we are going to grab, all right, so you guys need to remember this now. We're going to grab our shape tool. That's this tool right here. Oh, that arrow is quite thick. Let me use that thinner arrow. We're going to grab the shape tool, which is that there. And when we go to the shape tool, what I need you guys to do is you're going to click the line tool. You're going to choose the line tool. You're going to change it to a line tool by right clicking or click and hold, whichever one. I'm going to change it to line.
Sir, I'm not hearing you clearly.
Is your microphone working?
Hold on, you're hearing me?
Barely.
Oh, yeah, something happened. Okay, good. You hearing me back better now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to you're going to change it to the line tool, and here comes the important part. You need to change this option up here for the line tool options. You're going to change it from shape to pixels. Very important. So the line tool in Photoshop can either be a vector line or a pixel line. We want it to be a pixel line, okay? Now, if you're using the old version of Photoshop, you're not gonna have this drop down thing here. Instead, you're gonna have 3 buttons, 1 button for shape, 1 for path, and 1 for pixels. And I don't think it will have the text beside it unless you hover over it. So if you're using the old version of Photoshop, make sure you choose the icon that says pixels. So let me make that remain for a bit. Okay, once you do that now, and I'm going to leave you guys doing this task, is you're going to use the line tool. I think you need to put the line tool thickness, which is here. I think 1 pixel is too small. So I'm thinking that you guys need to probably put this at like 3, no, 2. I don't know. You will see when you draw it. Oops. So I'm going to put it to 3 to see how that works out. And then what I'm going to do is draw a line. Make sure that you're on the enhanced lines layer. Kind of mixed up with the irregular lines as well. 3 looks like it's too small. Let me put it to 5. So I'm going to draw another line here. Now you don't need to draw a line over all of them, because if you do that, it's going to look like an AutoCAD drawing. What you're trying to do is to just, as I say, enhance the truth a little bit. So areas that could take a little bit of touch up. So for example, the downpipe here could take a little bit of touch up. Maybe that one is too thick. Let me go back down to 4. You don't want to turn it into a computer drawing. You want to make it still look sketchy. So you don't want to do all your lines. I repeat, don't do all of your lines. You just need to do the ones that just can't work. So for example, if you look down the bottom here, like this line was obviously lost in translation here. So you definitely need to just complete that line like that. And look, piece of the window is gone here. So you're going to want to just kind of do that and probably do the same here.
Sir, how is so find the line tool?
So remember, the line tool is this tool here. For you, it might not be a line. For you, it might be a rectangle. So you need to click and hold, change it to line. Then when you do that, you need to make sure you set this to pixels. It needs to be pixels. Ensure that you are on the enhanced lines layers when you are drawing, right? Make sure you are on the right layer when you are drawing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to adjust your line weight up top so that you kind of get this blending of your digital lines and your sketched lines. All right, so let me continue with that. So it look like they're mowing the lawn outside, so forgive the noise. So I'm gonna further
And you
use
say
the
we're
line
supposed
tool.
to create a next layer.
Yep, you're supposed to create a new layer called enhanced
Okay, you
line.
say that we're supposed to create a next layer.
Yes. And on the enhanced lines layers, that is what you should be working on, right? Just the enhanced lines layers. You don't need to enhance all the lines. As I said, just look for areas that could take an enhancement. So for example,
So sir, if
this
we're going
wall,
to be working on the next layer, should I duplicate layer 1?
no, you need to create a new layer by clicking on that icon there. and create a new layer. So for example, a good idea what you could do is I could probably put my weighting I could probably put my weighting to like 10. And then when I put the weight into 10, then I could just get the wall line nice and thick, this nice thick wall line here. Everybody see that? I could also get a nice thick ground line here, maybe. Remember, you don't want to lose the sketchiness of it, so don't overdo it. Sometimes when I do this activity, when I get back some people drawing, it looks like an AutoCAD drawing. It doesn't look like a sketch anymore, right? So you don't want to lose that flavor. Okay, I'll give you a minute to do that. Are you going to damage my new headset? Are you going to damage my new headset? This is my brand new headset that I took from my box, from my phone and menu. You hear? Nate, this is my brand new headset. You have damaged this and 2 more. I did not want to let you this, and I'm trusting you to not damage it. You hear me, Nate? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, we should be done enhancing lines now. Ready to move on? I hear a resounding no. We're almost there. We're like at 70%. We're on like the final strip now.
The thing that the school uses to block the thing is blocking Clever. But I have Clever on my tablet. I could try that. Daddy. I think I have to use my other computer. I think I'm just going to switch computers.
Yes, I can hear you screaming.
Yeah. So when I'm trying to use a line tool, nothing is happening. I have it on pixels and I have the width at 3 and I have it in a new layer, but nothing is occurring.
Okay. So make sure that your layer is, well, yeah, I guess you make sure that it's on normal already, because that caught you the last time. But also make sure that your layer is not 100% transparent. So make sure it's not transparent. Make sure that you have not selected something. So Control D. right? So Control D to deselect.
Yes, sir.
Still not working?
The opacity is not 100. No, sir.
That's correct. It should be at 100. Make sure that you're not selecting anything, because if you have something highlighted, then you can't draw anything else outside of what you have highlighted. So you might have accidentally selected something. Remember the gigafactor.
I did Control D.
Still no luck? It's still not drawing?
No, sir. No, sir.
What about the mode for the lines up top? When you go on the line tool, is it on normal as well?
Yes, sir.
And the opacity is at 100 for the line?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then is it duppy then? I'm just kidding. You sure you're on the right layer?
I mean, was there supposed to be something special about the layer? I thought this was new layer.
Create a new layer, new blank layer, and when you draw the lines, they're supposed to appear. You know, like that. So when you click and hold and drag, it's not creating those lines.
No. Oh! I got it now. Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. What else are we supposed to do here? Oh, okay. Now we're going to do another step. Everybody ready? So this step is another important step. Now, for most of you, let me take this off the screen. If you turn off the background layer, your drawing should kind of look like this, where you would see areas that are white. Everybody seen that? And areas that you have erased. Everybody seen that? Well, it doesn't matter even if you're not seeing it, but I want you to turn off your background layer. Now I'm going to show you a kind of trick in Photoshop where you can remove all pixels of a particular color, right? So everybody ready? Because you need to do this in order to complete the exercise. So what we're going to do is that we want to tell
I'm
Photoshop.
not ready.
You're not ready. But you can still do this even if you haven't completed enhancing your lines. So don't worry. It doesn't matter if you do it before or after, as a matter of fact. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to tell Photoshop to remove all white pixels, right? So in our drawing here, we have a bunch of pixels that is white. We have a bunch that is black. And we have areas that we have no pixels. So we want to tell Photoshop that, hey, any pixel that you detect is white, you're going to remove it. Now, one of the advantages of the call you right back. One of the advantages of the what tool did we use again? It was the sketch filter, is that the sketch filter eradicated all colored pixels and only allowed pixels that are either black or white. So there are no gray pixels in our scene. No gray pixels, no blue pixels, no red pixels. Only pixels that are 100% black or 100% white. So that is an advantage of the filter tool. And that's why the drawing appears to have gotten more contrast because all of those little gray lines that existed just changed to black. And what the filter tool did is that if it was above 50% gray, it just made it black. And if it was below 50% gray, it just made that pixel white. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to eradicate all white pixels. So to do that, we're going to head over to this tool here, to our classic Magic Wand tool. Now, Magic Wand is a pretty old tool, so Photoshop don't even put it as the default tool anymore. Right now, it's the Quick Select tool that is here. And remember, we used the Quick Select tool in the first part, in the first exercise. So what we're going to do is click and hold and change it to the Magic Wand tool, right? So again, we're going to hit this tool right here and change it to Magic Wand. Now, for those of you who are perhaps familiar with the Magic Wand tool, we're not going to use it in its traditional sense, right? What we're going to do, right, is I want you to right-click any white pixel. Now, you have to do it on a white pixel, okay? And you're going to right-click. So you're not going to do normal click, you're going to do the other button on the mouse, right? So you're going to right-click any white pixel, and then you're going to go to color range. When you go to color range, you're going to get this weird box that comes up, which is essentially telling you that, hey, whatever color you clicked a while ago, I'm going to eradicate that color. So we don't need to change anything. We just need to choose OK. Oh, hold on. I just realized my speaker changed. That's why I wasn't hearing anybody. Hold on. No, it didn't change. Oh, good. You guys can hear me okay, right? Okay, good.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So when this comes up, you're going to choose OK. And then you're going to see marching ants all around. And then all you have to do here is just hit delete. Delete. Make sure that you are on, crap, I made a mistake. Make sure that you are on the scanned sketch layer. Oh my goodness. You have to be on the scanned sketch layer. You don't want to delete your enhanced lines that you just spend all the time working on. Please. So make sure you're on the scanned sketch layer. And you're going to hit delete. Hold on, before you hit delete, I think I might have, okay, let's do that again. Let us do that again. So I'm going to right click on a white pixel. Oh, I see the problem. Sorry. When you right click, it doesn't have to be on a white pixel. You just need to right click anywhere and choose color range. All right. When this dialog box come up, that is when you select a white pixel. So when you hover outside of this box here, notice it changed to a eyedropper. So you are gonna change you're gonna select a white pixel and you should see something like that. Then you click OK. Make sure you're on the scan sketch layer and hit delete. And then you're going to end up with that. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, so we're coming back around. All right. Now, so your drawing looks like this. You have an enhanced lines at the top level. You have a scanned sketch. And you have your background. So if you turn off the enhanced lines, you lose some detail, And if you turn off the scan sketch, you just end up with the background layer. So I want you to turn off the background layer, and just for precaution, just turn off your enhanced lines layer, right? So this that we're doing, we only want to do it to the scanned sketch layer. So make sure that you're on the scanned sketch layer. Now you're going to go to the Magic Wand tool that is located here. Then you're going to click and hold and change it to the Magic Wand tool, right? Remember, by default, that tool is not the tool that's there. So you need to click and hold, change it to Magic Wand. Okay. Now, once you have done that, right, you are going to right click anywhere on your screen. Make sure that you're on the scan sketch layer. You're going to right click and choose color range, right? And what the color range allows us to do is basically Photoshop is saying, hey, any pixel that you select, I will select all pixels of that color in your canvas. So when this dialog box comes up, you're going to pick the white pixel, any white pixel, not the transparent pixel, but the white pixel. And what Photoshop is going to do is search for all pixels in your canvas that is that same color that you picked. Then when you choose OK, it's going to highlight all pixels of that color. In this case, the color is white. So you're going to hit delete now, and you're going to end up with only black pixels. So you're going to now deselect. All right, Control D or right click deselect. So this is what you're going to end up with. Everybody there? Remember, if you missed it, you can catch it in the recording.
No, sir.
Now, I'm gonna do a segue to show you a very important reason why what I told you a while ago was is going to be very useful for you guys as a tool. Now, what I have done is I have gotten rid of all white pixels. And this is not the end of our exercise, but I want to tell you how useful this can be. Remember from the first class, when you see a checkered background, what does that mean? Anybody? It means it is transparent, right? So at this point, if I save this, now you don't have to do this, I'm just doing a segue, a commercial break, just to show you an advantage of what you just learned, right? If I save this, and I'm going to save this as a PNG file format, so I'm going to look for PNG. I'm going to save it as exercise 2, and save it on the desktop, and I choose save. Now, does anybody know the advantage of saving a PNG file versus a JPEG file?
A PNG file keeps the transparent background, while as a JPEG file is just the picture itself.
Exactly. That is right on the money. So what that means is that if I should open PowerPoint, yeah, let me choose PowerPoint as an example. Where are you, PowerPoint? Ah, you are on the other screen, right? So let me hop over to the other screen. Now, if I open PowerPoint, and PowerPoint is something we're very familiar with, so I'm just going to choose like one of these templates, right? And let me just pick a different one. Open new. Let me pick one that has a bit of color. Yeah, let me choose this one here. Maybe even green. All right. So I know a few of you might have used PowerPoint already, and you might have come across a situation where when you place a JPEG in PowerPoint, it doesn't have a background. So let's say that you were doing, I don't know, a presentation or putting something together for your studio. The original sketch that we downloaded from There we go. That is our original sketch, right? And I don't know if some of you can even see it because it's very pale and quite horrible, right? Come on. Because I'm recording, everything is just like really sluggy. You know, even PowerPoint, it's just like crawling. But anyway, now, as where we are now, if we, let me just delete that horrible image. If I just imported the sketch that I saved as a PNG, then right off the bat, if you look at that, so PowerPoint preserves the transparent background. Everybody can see that? And Photoshop allowed you to easily remove all white pixels by using a combination of those two tools. We added a filter, and the sketch filter removed all gray pixels, and it only left us with black and white. Then we remove all white pixels, and then we enhance the black lines by drawing lines over it. So right away, we end up with an interesting sketch. And I guess you guys can think of all kinds of interesting ways you could use a combination of these tools to give you effects like this. All right. So anyway, that was our commercial break. Now back to our regular scheduled program, right? Just telling you what you can do with a little Photoshop in your life. All right, but we're not done yet. What we need to do is we need to color this. That is our final step, right? If you look at the handout, it gave you an indication of some of the colors that you're expected to use, right? So let me switch back over here. So here, all right. So now you don't have to use these colors. It's really up to you, but this is where we want to get to. Now I'm going to show you one approach to coloring this up, right? You don't have to use my approach. There are many different ways to do this. Okay, so back in the driver's seat. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to start to color the walls and the windows. So let's start with that. Now to do that, we are going to create a new layer, and we're going to call this layer wall. Yeah, let's just call it wall, you know, keep it simple. So we created a new layer called wall, right? And what we're going to do with that new layer is we're not going to jump to our paintbrush just yet and start to paint. Let's first select the color. So to select color, we're going to open our color panel. Notice we had some panels open here. We had layers, history, properties, adjustments, but we didn't have color panel. So to open our color panel, we need to go up to window, right? And when we go up to window, we're going to go to color, and this is what your color panel looks like. Pretty straightforward. Let's add that to our list of panels. So I'm just going to dot that over here. So we have color here. I'm going to open another panel. I'm going to open the swatches panel. Swatches. There we go. Swatches. Choose that. And our swatches panel looks like this. So I'm going to add that to the list of panels. No, right? So we have a swatches panel here. Oh, this Photoshop has some defaults. That's so cool. This never used to be here, by the way. I don't know if your Photoshop has them. In your swatches panel, you have some themes: pure, light, pastel, grayscale. Are you guys seeing that in your Photoshop swatches panel? If you're not seeing it, then apparently it's a new feature. Every time I do this class, I learn much more, both from the students and from Photoshop itself. Hey, the best way to learn something is to teach it, you know. So if somebody misses DDM class and they ask you, I didn't come to class, I don't understand the recording, can you show me? Then that is more of an opportunity for you than it is the person who you're showing, because you who are explaining it is solidifying it in your mind. You get me? Plus you can charge them, you know, tell them to buy your lunch and you tell them too. So you get the two things out of it. I'm just saying. Hint, hint. So
Pandemic, sir. Pandemic. What should I order and have them pay?
that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You could just transfer money for your services. That could work as well. You know. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this interesting way to color our walls, right? We're going to select a color. Let me go for there's no earth tones here. I wouldn't want to go for an earth tone, but under pale, there's earth tone. Lovely. So I'm just going to pick one of this brown color. So notice that when you pick the color here, oops. The color here should be brown, right? And notice Photoshop has a foreground and a background color. So the foreground color should be brown. I should highlight, by the way, that a lot of features in Photoshop works based on this foreground background color. So when you're not using a different color, you should always just make sure this is black and white, long and short. But for right now, I actually want to change the color, so that's fine now. All right, so it's brown. Now, I'm not going to start painting just yet. What I'm going to do, and this is the important part to listen to, what I'm going to do is, my approach is that I'm going to go to my Layers tab, right? I am going to place my Layers tab on the my wall layer on the lowest level. So notice I have moved it down to the lowest level. So the scanned sketch and the enhanced lines are above my wall layer, and that's what I want, right? So I've placed it in the lowest level in my Layers tab. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to go for my polygonal lasso tool on the left. All right, I'm going really slow because this step is hard to repeat. All right. So I'm going for my polygonal lasso tool. And what I'm going to do, remember that's the tool that you use in the car, and you used it a while ago to erase things in here. So what I'm going to do is, let's say the wall that is here, I'm going to grab my lasso tool and I'm going to just try and highlight along the wall. So I'm going to go here. Let me do this for now, here, and close there. So I don't know if you can see it, but that is what I've highlighted. All right. So I've gone for my lasso tool, my polygonal lasso tool, and I'm on my wall layer. Make sure that you are on your wall layer, and I've highlighted a piece of the wall that I want to color with this brown color. Next, I'm going to go for my paint bucket tool, which is there. All right, my paint bucket tool looks like that. It looks like a paint bucket, can't miss it. All right. And I'm going to fill this highlight, this stupid thing. I'm going to set paint bucket tool, and I'm going to fill it with brown. All right, now don't worry, I have to do this again because there are other walls that are going to be colored this color. All right, so, okay.
I don't see a paint bucket tool.
Say again?
I don't see a paint bucket tool in mine.
If you don't see a paint bucket tool, it's probably because it's on another tool. So maybe you're seeing the gradient tool and you need to click and hold and change it to paint bucket. All right. So again, if the paint bucket tool, it might be the gradient tool, and you just click and hold and change it to paint bucket. All right, so let me do that again because I have to do it a couple of times, so don't worry if you've missed it. All right, now I'm going to deselect now. I can hold Control and press D, and I've deselected. Now I'm still on the wall layer, and I have another little piece of wall that is down here that I need to color, right? So I am going to grab my polygonal lasso tool again, right? And then I'm going to do the same thing. I can zoom in if you want to zoom in. You don't have to worry about making this neat. It's not supposed to be neat. As a matter of fact, it would look better if it's not neat, right? Think about when you're coloring with Prismacolor markers. Sometimes those markers go over those edges and they overlap and they do all kind of funny things, but it has a natural look to it. So I'm going to highlight this little bottom piece of wall down here using the polygonal lasso tool again, and I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool and fill it. Then I'm going to deselect. So now I have my wall, right? Let me turn on my background layer so you can see it a little nicer. So that is what is happening. So I'm going to repeat that again. Let's do the down pipe. So what color would we want to color this down pipe in? Let's say like a gray. Okay, good. We're on the same page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call it drain pipe. All right, so a new layer. That layer is below enhanced sketch lines, and it's below the scanned sketch layer. All right, so I created a new layer. I'm going to go for my polygonal lasso tool again, which is over here. All right, polygonal lasso tool. And I'm going to now trace over this drain pipe. So I'm going to just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be neat. Don't worry. It's not about precision. And that's the beauty about when you're enhancing a sketch. If you want it to look like a sketch, so you actually don't want it to be very neat. So even this area here, notice I'm going to make the paint kind of go outside of the area there. That's fine. And I'm going to close that up. So notice this is what I have selected now. You can see the marching ants. So notice it's not even neat. This area, it's even going outside the area there. That's great. It will look even better for being untidy. I mean, how much in life do something looks better when it's untidy? You know, I mean, so this is a great opportunity to enhance that, to embrace being untidy as being something that looks better, right? So you're going to go for the paint bucket tool, coming right here. I'm going to go for my paint bucket tool and make sure to change the color. So I'm going to go to my swatches, and I'm going to get a nice grayish kind of color there. And I'm going to fill that with gray. And I'm going to deselect.
Sir, excuse me.
Come in, just give me one more second. So notice this area here that the paint is actually going outside of the line work, but you know, it gives it a nice marker-ish, Prismacolor-ish vibe. You get me? I think it looks good when it's untidy, but you know, that could be my opinion. But remember, you don't want this to look like a AutoCAD drawing. It is supposed to be a sketch. And you know, when the lecturer looks at your book, you say, oh, this sketch is so nice. And you can just pretend like that's how you drew it originally, but really and truly you just photoshopped it. All right. Okay, yes. Come on, question.
It's not really a question.
Okay.
The text that are on the sketch, it's not legible in
That's
my
okay.
image.
Don't worry about it. That's okay. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So what I want you guys to do now is to finish coloring this up. You're going to use the same method. Remember the steps. What we did, we created a new layer. So for example, let me do it one more time for those of you who might have missed it. So I'm going to do one more, which is going to be the Timber members. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go to my layers tab. And notice how I'm trying to keep my interface nice and neat. I'm trying to put all my tabs in one little thing. This does matter because you can get real confused, especially if you're using Photoshop for the first time. So it's a good idea to like just open the tabs that you need, the panels that you need, right? Okay, so on the layers panel, I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to call this maybe joist. And again, it is below the enhanced lines layer and it is below the scan sketch layer. And I'm going to choose my color. So I'm going to go over to swatches. And I'm gonna find another brown, maybe like a, I don't know, like a more reddish brown perhaps. Then I'm gonna go to my polygonal lasso tool. And I'm gonna highlight the areas that I want to color that brown. So I'm gonna highlight one of these joist members here. Right, so you can see the marching ants there, selecting the joist member. Then I am going to go to my paint bucket and fill it with that color. Right? All righty. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm repeating again, just in case that you don't get this step. Good. I'm going to go back. Oops, I filled my entire drawing. Good thing there's undo. Okay. I'm going to go back to my layers, make sure that I'm on the joist layer. Go to my polygonal select tool. And I'm going to select this top joist now. And I'm even going to spitefully make a little white space there. So it looked like when I was drawing with the marker, I never quite get it right, you know. As soon as you get a good hang at this, you know, you can really enhance the truth a lot, right? And I'm going to fill that again. Right, so you see, it's kind of looking like a sketch. And I could even do another layer on top and say that's the roof material. You can get really crazy with it, but at the end of the day, you should end up with something looking nice, like that. No, like that. Like where is it? Like that, right? Oh crap! I just realized there's one more thing that I need to teach you guys. I hope your brain is not overloaded. This is your last Photoshop class, so I'm trying to get everything in. Notice that there's a gradient in here. Everybody see that gradient? I want to show you how to do a gradient because I think you're going to need that in Photoshop. And it is not hard. It is just like paint bucket, that using the paint bucket tool. You guys ready? Even if you're not so far, you just need to look how to do this and you can always do it later. All right? This is the last step. And after this step, I'm going to ask you guys a favor. But before I do the favor, so let's talk about the gradient. Right? Gradients are super important because notice this gradient here, it gives it a feel like there's light in there, like there's like a soft, shadowy kind of vibe. So when you don't want your drawings to look completely flat, like if you look at this drawing, if it was just about filling colors, it would be like a very flat drawing. But the gradient adds some dimensions to it, right? So the right word would be depth. It adds depth to the drawing. Now to get a gradient, we're going to take the same approach. We're going to create a new layer and we're going to call that layer. Let's call that layer gradient. Right? Now on that gradient layer, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go for our polygonal select tool and we're going to select the inside of the building.
Sir?
Yes?
I'm not seeing what you're doing.
All right, my bad. I have not switched back my monitor. Thank you for highlighting that. Okay, right, so again, so I've created a new layer called the gradient layer, right? And when you're on that layer, we're going to go for our polygonal select tool, right? And you guys can just do this now, because even if you're not finished coloring your building, you can just put the gradient inside. Now I do the same thing that I did a couple times again. I'm going to highlight the inside of the building using the polygonal select tool. So you can see the inside of the building is highlighted. You can see the marching ants there doing their thing, right? And I am going to go now to not go to the paint bucket, right? So this is where it diverts. Instead of going to the paint bucket tool, I'm going to switch to the gradient tool, right? And the gradient and the paint bucket tool are on the exact same slot. Now here is the trick with the gradient tool. Now you know what a gradient is. A gradient fades from one color to another. So if I look on the left here, what two colors is going to fade here? Oops. What two colors is going to fade here?
Brown to white.
Exactly. So ideally, I would want to maybe fade from like gray to like dark gray or something like that. So what I want to do is, let's select the colors. So I'm going to click on this color. You can use the swatches if you want, but I'm gonna suggest that you manually do this. So I'm going to click on this color, and it's going to bring up your color swatch. By clicking on this little square box here, it's going to bring up this swatch. And I'm going to select like a browny grayish, tannish kind of color. Nice kind of vibe like that. And then I'm going to select the other color by just clicking on it as well. And I'm going to select like a deeper tannish, brownish vibe like that and choose OK. So notice I have, so this is what will be created in my gradient, right? Everybody with me? Now, how you create a gradient, listen closely, is that you're going to click, hold, and drag and release. So what you notice is that along the line that you drag, it created a gradient fading from the first point that you clicked to the last point. Let me do that again. So if I click, hold, and drag horizontally, look closely, then it's going to fade this way. Let me do that vertically. Click, hold, and drag vertically. It's going to fade that way. So you want to give it, so check this out. You can give it a nice vibe, like this low window here. I could drag that way, and then it looks like the light is kind of coming from that window. You see that? That's pretty cool. So you can use like these little, that's why the gradient tool is so good, because if you notice now, you look on your drawing and it has that nice fade, and it looks, it definitely has more depth. Okay. Okay, so that is the last thing that I'm going to teach you. I'm deselecting now. So I'm going to leave you to finish coloring this up. Remember, you can catch it in the recording, right? I think my voice is nearing its end now, and I do have to recharge again for 4. So you can catch my recording again. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor, right? And there's actually something on the criteria when I'm marking this, right? There's a criteria called favor, and I'm going to be looking for that favor that I've asked you guys to do, right? And what that is I want you to include one entourage of your choice from the internet. So I want you to actually put, you could put a tree, you could put a man, you could put a cat. I've seen people put aliens. I mean, when I saw that one, I was like, you know, why would you choose to put an alien? I mean, but you see, I didn't specify that it had to be like a realistic thing. So I'm going to specify it now, right? Preferably things that are normal, right? So some kind of normal entourage. Now, if you remember a while back when I did the segue, we spoke about PNG files. And we know that PNG files keeps a transparent background. So therefore, if I was to find an image of an entourage to use what type of file would I be looking for on the internet? A PNG file, right? So when you go to Google search, and I'm sure all of us use Google search, whatever you want to find, whether it's a tree or a man, let's type tree. You want to put PNG at the end and hope for the best. Now, here's the thing. A lot of these are fake PNG. And you will discover that when you download it and you put it in Photoshop and you realize it still has a background, right? So in itself, this is a little challenge for you to know exactly what a PNG file is, right? Some of you might get lucky and the first one you download might be an actual PNG. So let me roll the dice. So let me, you know,
Or
this,
sir, you can go into the settings on Google and change the background, searching to transparent, and then all that will come up with PNG.
oh, that's so cool. I did not know that. You have totally cheated the system.
Yeah, so where it says settings tools, that section you can go through and change the background to not there. Go back.
Not tools?
Go back. Okay, where it says more. Oh wait, color down the bottom below images.
Mm-hmm. So
See
image
transparent.
type.
You see transparent? Go back to color.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have totally cheated the system. You were supposed to find ones that don't have transparency.
So work smarter, not harder.
Bit. That is so cool. You know, as a matter of fact, my wife is a teacher, so she teaches preschool now. And she was looking for a lot of PNG images and she kept finding ones that are not real PNG, and she kept searching and searching and she got frustrated with it and she was like, why do they put the checkered background and it's not a real PNG? And you know what? I'm going to tell her that one of my students told me I can filter for transparent images. Look at that. So anyway, we're going to save this now. You can save it wherever, to your desktop. And what I'm going to do is to drag it into Photoshop. So I'm going to just switch screens now. And look, that's what we end up with. Now, notice it comes on its own layer. So you can put that layer like at the top or at the bottom, however you want to do it. And just resize it there. Yeah, or you could put it behind. Maybe that's too small. Maybe it should be bigger. And it looked like it should be behind. So I'll probably put it at the bottom so that it's behind the tree. So anyway, that's the favor. So you guys need to include a PNG image, which is now way easier because you can just filter for a PNG and drop it in your drawing. Then you're gonna save this as a JPEG and send it to me. And that will end our last Photoshop class. I hope you've learned a lot.
Sir, send it to you or submit it on the website?
Submit it, definitely. So
okay.
We're using the
you
same.
Want it by the end of the day, right?
Say again?
You want it by the end of the day.
As per usual. So you need to go to this submit button here and same, put your name and stuff and upload the JPEG here. I see some interesting comments. Keep it coming.
All right, sir, because I joined late, so I never really get to do it with the class. So I'm waiting for the recording.
Okay, and you guys know where to access the recording, right?
Yes, sir.
The forums. Okay, so I shall put this there. All right, so that's it for our class today. We finished half an hour before the time with commercial breaks. So that's pretty impressive. I will see you guys on Monday, where I will ask you, maybe not everybody, but I'll ask some of us if they can present me with the computer that they bought with the money that I've given you, right? And the lessons that you've learned with video cards and all of that stuff, I expect you to pick a decent computer, right? So I'll call at you at random, so you won't know which one I've called on, right? I don't. That should be fun. Nothing like getting window shopping money to do window shopping. All right, guys. So that is it for today. I'll see you next time for our next episode of DDM. Take care and stay safe. All right. Bye.
You too, sir.
All right.